folks, it's Abel, and today we're going to be doing a book review. A book review, you ask? Why would you do that? That has nothing to do with art, synesthesia, or your self-centered tendency to do things that revolve solely around you, and neither of those things. Well, you see, today we're doing a book review, and the book is about synesthesia. This is a mango-shaped space. It's by Wendy Mass, and it is wonderful. I actually do not read a whole bunch. I used to, but then I ran out of time when I was in school. And then I started again. I took forever to read this because I am not a huge reader anymore, but it was super good and I thought that I should talk about it because it pertains a lot to the stuff that we talk about on this channel. Someone sent this to my P.O. box. That was very, very kind. Thank you so much for sending it. I know I took forever to read it, but it was really good. You were right. So, first things first. This is essentially the story of a young girl who has synesthesia and begins to struggle with it a little bit. And then, like, her tale of learning about and embracing synesthesia. It's really cute. It's definitely, like, a middle school read as opposed to, like, a grown-up book. But it is really well written, and I think that it's really nice. It's worth noting that the author herself does not have synesthesia as far as I'm aware, and it's a first-person account of it, so I think for someone who doesn't have synesthesia, it is really, really well done. I think that sometimes when people talk about synesthesia, it becomes such a almost tokenism, and it turns into just the character's only personality trait. I've had people who act like it is my only personality trait, but you seem to forget I am also loud, annoying. You know what? I got 3 personality traits. It's fine. But I think it's really well done. It does not turn the character into a woo, quirky kind of kid. It's very, very nice. Our main character is Maya, or Mia. I can't decide. I don't know how to read, apparently. M-I-A, Mia, or Maya. Whatever one you want to go with. It's a book, they don't say it out loud, so it doesn't matter that much. But our main character is in about 7th or 8th grade, I think. I can't remember the exact grade, but she's around that age. And she's just like a regular old kid, just doing her thing. She loves painting, which is wonderful, and she loves cats, also wonderful. I love this kid already. And so she has 2 types of synesthesia. She has projective, which is not the same as what I have. I have associative. Projective is when you see visuals on the space around you, and associative is when it plays in your head, kind of like how you'd see a daydream. And so she has projective chromesthesia, which is music and sound to color, which is what I have, and she has projective grapheme color synesthesia. Grapheme color is when you see numbers and letters as color. I have both of these types. I'm not a projector, but I feel like in terms of story and in terms of how people think about it, a lot of people think of projecting as a lot cooler, a lot neater, and I totally understand why she chose that. Narratively, it's kind of neat. I like how it works for the book. I like just the things that she does with it. It's very cool that she can describe setting and then the sound in the space. It's very nice. I like it a lot. There are a lot of things in the book that are not exactly how I experienced them. She finds synesthesia, especially in like math courses, to be a very big distraction, and she begins to fail math courses. Now, I failed my math courses because I'm garbage at math. Synesthesia had never played a huge part in it. And I also used to read every second of every day when I was little. She never talks about reading being a distraction when it comes to like the numbers and letters having color, but she seems to make math more difficult with it, which is interesting to me because I've never had synesthesia play a part in either, but I thought it was an interesting choice to have her massively distracted in math but not having the same issues in English, which is fine. I totally understand that like you can make it different, but I thought that was an interesting choice because it wasn't both, it was only the math, even though letters and numbers had color. And as she's learning that synesthesia is difficult and making it harder for her, and she's explaining these things to her parents, people are kind of being like, oh my god, what is this? We need to make it stop. And she goes to researchers to see if they can make synesthesia stop, which you can't make it stop. That's a fun fact. But that's really interesting to me as a synesthete because I personally have never had a desire to make it quit. I know that that is really common. Most people are usually just fine with it. And a lot of people really embrace it. And throughout the story, she really, really begins to just fall in love with her own synesthesia, which is really cool, and I like that. I have never been the kind of person to make it a huge part of my being and a big part of my identity. Despite what I do for a living, talking about synesthesia in my day-to-day life doesn't happen all that often. But a lot of it is just her fully embracing it, and I'm all for that. And it becomes a big part of her identity, and I really like that. And I know a lot of people who have that same feeling, who have synesthesia as this big part of who they are. And I think that's really, really cool. It's not my own experience, but it is something that's really, really neat. And it's really lovely to see her make that 180 from just absolutely abhorring it, wishing it would go away, to just fully loving it and, in a way, loving herself more. We love that self-love here. It's a very nice story. I really love that aspect of it. It's beautiful. It's worth noting that she also has been using, in the story, the synesthesia to paint songs. And don't know if you know this, but that's my whole brand. Girl is coming for me. Girl is coming for my brand. Which is totally fine. I think this was actually written a while before I even knew I had synesthesia, so it's fine. But it's really, really nice. I like that aspect of it because, yeah, I do that too. Makes her very relatable. Something else that's worth noting that made me laugh a little bit was she goes from having this huge struggle with math to embracing her synesthesia, going from full hating it to embracing it. And I think a really nice parallel is in the math situation. She goes from struggling really bad and hating it to learning to a little bit cheat with the synesthesia. And I don't do this because I'm an honest student, but she uses some Sharpies to write out just in color just the algorithms for her class, just whatever the algebra basic 6 functions are. She just scribbles out the colors on her jeans and looks down to those and knows what she means. And not that I would ever do that, but I did walk into an exam with a lot of dates that had just so many dates that I had to remember, and I was garbage at memorizing dates. And I may have had a Big B cup of coffee that had a couple little colored dots all around it. I'm not saying I did anything bad, but I'm saying that that's extremely relatable. I really liked that aspect, and liked that parallel. I don't know if it was intentional, but the parallel of the math situation to her really starting to embrace and love her synesthesia. And then something else that I could relate to half of it and not to the other. A lot of people were really garbage at school and called her a freak and how weird she was for this. I have never experienced that. I have never had someone make fun of me over synesthesia. Usually people are way interested. Or they're just bored. I get that too. But I've never had anyone be outright mean about it, because there's not a lot to be mean about. And I don't know if this is just because this book was written a little before synesthesia got the hype that it has had in the last few years especially, or if it's just because the author has not experienced this. But I do think that it's interesting that she chose to have people be so snotty and just buck wild and mean, because it's really interesting because I've never dealt with that. But on the other hand, there were a ton of kids demanding to know what color their name is. And I'm not going to say that's 100% annoying, because it's fun sometimes to tell people. But every time I do an Instagram Q&A, half of it, almost exactly half, is what color is my name. Because I accidentally let slip that I see words as color. Not particularly names, but all words blew people's minds, and the fact that so many people bombarded her with the question blew my mind, because relatable. Oh my god, yes. The last thing I want to touch on was that in the book she experiences trauma, and I have not really been through a lot of trauma. Probably the worst thing that's happened to me is the car crash I was in last year, but that did not affect my synesthesia. She had her synesthesia completely go away after experiencing emotional trauma. And I've never experienced like massive heartbreak or anything, but I've just never heard of that happening from emotional trauma. And that's really interesting to me because I've never heard of it. I have heard of synesthesia gradually fading as you get older, or from a head injury. I know that people who've had concussions have told me about them being injured and then losing their synesthesia after. I've also heard the opposite of someone having a head injury and then having synesthesia after it. But I've never heard of emotional trauma causing a loss of synesthesia, which is interesting to me. I've never heard anyone tell me that that's happened. I've talked to a lot of synestheses and like former synestheses. I hate that word. Synesthesis is a stupid hard word to say. But a lot of people who had it and then lost it with age or lost it with injury have talked to me, and I've just never heard of emotional trauma causing that. Which, it was interesting. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it was really weird because I've just never heard of it. And so that was kind of neat. Overall, I think the book was super, super cute. It was so nice. It's really good. It features cats. It features painting songs. And there was a specific mention of caffeine causing a dampening of synesthesia, which I sent to all my friends with a large uh-oh on Snapchat because that's not good. I better not experience that. But again, that's something else I've just never experienced. And it does go to show that every person with synesthesia is different. Our journeys are all really different. Our feelings on synesthesia are different. And people's reactions are different. I think it's really nice. I think it's a really solid depiction of synesthesia. And I can't speak as a projector because I'm not one, but I think just the descriptions of synesthesia themselves were really, really nice. I really liked the book overall, and I highly recommend it, especially to younger readers. If you have, like, middle school friends, I think this is a great book for them. Like, it's just very nice. It's informative through its storytelling, and I really loved it. I have never done a book review before in this type of video or anything, but I had a really good time with that book, and I thought it was worth sharing with you guys. Thank you to the person who sent it to me to my P.O. box. I really appreciate that. That was really kind of you, and I really enjoyed it. I know it took me like a year to read it, but I did really enjoy it. So thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I know it's something different from what I usually do, but I hope you all had fun with it. I will see you guys again soon. I love you, and goodbye. Maybe finger guns are how I end things. Maybe that's it.